There are 1 million acres of forest in southern New Jersey. 1 million acres of ancient pine, twisted cedar, and black water swamp, so dense in places that standing inside it, you cannot see 10 feet ahead of you. So vast that entire towns were swallowed by it and forgotten. So desolate that for 300 years, people have refused to enter it after dark. They call it the Pine Barrens. And somewhere inside it, something has lived since before the United States was a country. They call it the Jersey Devil. And unlike most legends, this one has witnesses. Thousands of them. The birthplace of the Jersey Devil is called the Pine Barrens. The most famous version of the story traces back to a place called Leeds Point, and a stormy night in 1735. Atlantic County, New Jersey. A woman, known to history only as Mother Leeds, was surrounded by her concerned friends as she entered labor, pregnant for the 13th time. It was a difficult birth. Exhausted. Desperate. Pushed past the edge of what a person can endure. She screamed out into the storm. Let this one be the devil. Rather than a normal baby coming out, a horse-like thing with wings emerged. It yelped at the astonished family, flew up the chimney, and disappeared off into the Pine Barrens. And it has never left. The creature that witnesses have described over 3 centuries is not easily forgotten. The most common description is that of a kangaroo-like creature with the face of a horse, the head of a dog, leathery bat-like wings, horns, small arms with clawed hands, cloven hooves, and a forked tail. It stands between 3 and 10 feet tall depending on who is telling the account. Its eyes, red, blazing, catching the light like 2 embers in the dark. It moves quickly enough to avoid human contact and is often described as emitting a blood-curdling scream, a shriek so long, so layered, so utterly inhuman that every person who has heard it describes the same thing: they ran before they even decided to. The indigenous people of southern New Jersey, the Lenape, venerated a forest god called Msing, described as a deer-like creature with bat-like wings. It is possible that European settlers in the region learned of this ancient being and mapped it onto their whispers of the so-called Leeds Devil. Which means whatever lives in the Pine Barrens may be far older than 1735. Far older than the name we gave it. Tradition says that American war hero Stephen Decatur encountered the Leeds Devil at his foundry in the Pine Barrens. The ex-king of Spain, Joseph Bonaparte, claimed to have run into the monster on his estate at Point Breeze. A former king. A decorated war hero. Men whose reputations were their currency, and both of them stood in the dark of the pines and came face to face with something they could not explain. In the 18th and 19th centuries, unearthly wails were often reported emanating from the dark forests and swampy bogs, and the slaughter of domesticated animals would invariably be attributed to the phantom of the pines. Railroad workers in the 1840s repeatedly refused to continue construction at dusk, walking off the job rather than stay near where the creature had been seen manifest at the tree line. You do not refuse your paycheck because of a fairy tale. You refuse it because of what you saw. But nothing in the 300-year history of the Jersey Devil compares to what happened during one single week in January of 1909. For 7 terrifying days, from January 16th to the 23rd, the legend exploded into the public consciousness with a ferocity that has rarely been matched in the annals of American folklore. It did not begin with a sighting. It began with tracks. On the morning of January 16th, residents in multiple towns awoke to find strange, inexplicable prints in the fresh snow. They were not the tracks of a dog, a horse, or a man. They were cloven, like those of a deer, but found in places no deer could go, on rooftops, in fenced-in yards, and crossing wide-open fields in a perfectly straight line for miles. The tracks seemed to defy logic, appearing and disappearing abruptly. Then the sightings began. Saturday the 16th, the creature was sighted flying over Woodbury. Sunday the 17th, in Bristol, Pennsylvania, several people saw the creature and more tracks were found in the snow. Monday the 18th, Burlington was covered in strange prints that seemed to defy logic, appearing across several other towns simultaneously. Tuesday the 19th, Nelson Evans and his wife of Gloucester allegedly saw the creature outside their window at 2:30 in the morning. He would later describe it in detail to a Philadelphia newspaper, a description so specific and so consistent with dozens of other accounts that editors ran it on the front page. Newspaper offices became inundated with letters and telegrams from frightened residents who claimed to have heard the shriek or seen shadowy shapes crossing moonlit treetops. Citizens reported encounters simultaneously across multiple municipalities. In Bristol, Pennsylvania, residents discovered cloven hoofprints traversing rooftops, defying natural locomotion. Factories closed. Schools shut down. Armed community patrols were organized. What distinguished the 1909 wave from ordinary rumor was the number of credible witnesses. Police officers, mail carriers, merchants, and entire trolley carloads of passengers submitted written statements. Local governments took the reports seriously enough to organize searches. And the footprints, photographed and measured in several towns, remain one of the enduring puzzles of the case. Tracks that seemed too deep, too widespread, and too inexplicable to dismiss easily. By the final day of sightings on January 22nd, many towns were panic-stricken, with businesses and schools closed in fear. The Philadelphia Zoo posted a reward for the creature's capture. 1,000 witnesses. 7 days. And then, like a door slamming shut, it was gone. The sightings did not end in 1909. They only slowed. In 1951 there was another panic in Gibbstown, New Jersey, after local boys claimed to have seen a humanoid monster and heard screams. In 1960, strange tracks were reported along with loud shrieks near Mays Landing. That same year, merchants in Camden offered a $10,000 reward for the capture of the Jersey Devil. As recently as 1991, a pizza delivery driver in Edison, New Jersey described a nighttime encounter with a white, horse-like creature. And in 1978, 2 teenage boys ice skating near Chatsworth in the Barrens smelled an odor like dead fish and saw 2 red eyes staring at them from the dark. They didn't stay to investigate. Nobody ever does. The Pine Barrens have swallowed a lot of things over 3 centuries. Towns. People. Explanations. For more than 250 years this mysterious creature is said to prowl through the marshes of southern New Jersey. Countless stories have circulated describing the devil's escapades, raiding farms, destroying crops, killing animals. And always, that sound. That scream. Rising from somewhere deep in the trees where the light doesn't reach and the water sits black and still and the pines press so close together you could disappear in 30 seconds and never be found. Some say the Jersey Devil is a curse. Born of exhaustion and a desperate mother's words spoken into a storm. Some say it is something far older, a forest spirit the Lenape knew by a different name, something that watched the first settlers arrive on this land and simply decided to stay. And some say it is neither legend nor spirit, but a creature. Living. Hunting. Patient. Waiting for the next person to wander too deep into the pines after sundown. The Jersey Devil has been reported by farmers and fishermen. By a war hero and a deposed king. By police officers and postal workers and an entire trolley car full of passengers who all agreed on what they saw crossing the moonlit sky above them. 1,000 people in one single week looked up, or looked out their windows, or looked down at the snow, and knew that something was sharing this world with them that had no right to exist. So next time you're driving south on the Garden State Parkway and the trees close in on both sides and the radio cuts to static and somewhere off in the dark you hear something scream, don't pull over. Don't get out of the car. And don't look into the tree line. Because out there in those 1 million acres of black pine and cold swamp water, something is already looking back.